and gentlemen, I've been shooting Founders Connect videos for over 18 months now. I published the first one in November 2020, and we've done tens of them, over 40 published on the YouTube channel since then. And this has been a life-changing experience for me. There are so many conversations that I've had that have left marks on me, that have changed my perspective on so many things. Just being able to weather the storm and build a team around it that helps it makes shooting and editing much easier has taught me so many things. Being able to reach out to people that I would never have been able to speak to before, and they show up and say, hey, let's do this, let's have this conversation. There are just so many ways that Founders Connect has changed me and changed my perspective, and I've learned a lot. And I said, you know what, I want to do a video now. I don't have to wait for the 100 video or when I hit 100k subscribers to make a video of the things I've learned so far, because I have learned a lot, and I'm hoping as I share the lessons I've learned from shooting Founders Connect and from interviewing founders and operators, that you will learn a tool or two that can help you in your current or in your next project. So stay as I share a couple of lessons. It could be 7 or it could be 10 lessons from interviewing founders. Hey guys, you're welcome to my YouTube channel. You know what I do here? I create videos on marketing, life. I interview founders as well. The goal is to leave you inspired and motivated every single time you watch a video, and to give you value that kind of changes your perspective or helps you improve and get better in life. I hope that if you watch this video, it does that for you as well. So watch me talk about a couple of lessons that I have learned by doing Founders Connect videos and interviewing founders and operators in Africa. Lesson 1. I think the starting is the hardest part. The first time I thought to start a YouTube channel, I very easily dismissed it because I didn't think that I had a voice that people would listen to. I didn't think I had the equipment that were good enough to do it. I didn't think I had the skill set. I was like, yeah, this thing is very impossible. And it took me almost 3 years to finally shoot my first video from the first time I had the thought of doing a YouTube channel. But you see, when I started, and every single time, it becomes a lot easier. The second video was easier than the first, and the third was easier than the first, and the 100 was easier than the first, and it just go on and on. And the same thing, particularly with Founders Connect. I was very reluctant to do the first interview at 2, but after I did the first one, and I reached out to the second person, and I did the second one, and then I did the third one, and then I did the 7th one, and the 10th one, and the 40th one. Every other time, it becomes much easier, and I become more comfortable doing it. So yeah, starting anything is always the hardest part, right? It's not the work that's hard, it's starting that's hard. 2, you can't always depend on motivation or inspiration. I've seen that, starting is one thing, but continuing is another, is a different ballgame entirely, right? And your continuation cannot always and should not always depend on inspiration. Half of the work is just showing up to do the work. And when you do it, ideas flow and insights are created. When you do the work, you show up, it becomes much easier to then do it, right? So you can't just say, I have to wait until I get inspired. And I learn this every day. I learn this with shooting videos. I learn this with interviewing founders. I learned this with even writing my newsletter, waiting for, I have to have the brilliant idea this week, but we just write anything and just put it out there, right? Half of the work is just showing up to do the work. You can't always depend on motivation or inspiration. The third lesson is don't shy away from opportunities. I think it's probably one of the biggest lessons that Founders Connect as a show has taught me, right? It's very important to know when to say no and not to feel bad about it or apologize for it. That's a life skill. As a matter of fact, knowing when to say no, how to say no, and being able to not feel bad about it or apologize for it is a life hack. However, why it's important to say no and set boundaries, I also believe that you should explore almost every opportunity. Like, just don't say no because you're trying to learn the skill, right? Say no when you know that you don't have the bandwidth for it. Say no when you know that it's not the right opportunity for you. Say no when you know that it's not the right people for you. Say no when it doesn't match your values, it doesn't match your mission or your vision or where you're going to in life. Say no when it doesn't tick any of your boxes or all of your boxes. But you can't all know that it doesn't tick these boxes or know that it doesn't meet your goals and your values if you've not explored the opportunity. So just don't shy away from opportunities, right? Don't just be blind to opportunities. Explore them. It's good to say no, but explore every opportunity first, right? Weigh your options, do a pros and cons. If possible, take it for a test drive, right? I say this because that's how Founders Connect started. Atsu reached out to me and said, hey, do you want to interview me? I'm going to be in Lagos. And I'm like, no, I don't do this kind of show. And then I thought about it, I was like, okay, but why don't I do this kind of show? Why can't I do it? I've had conversations with other people like Blessing Abeng and Kenny Nobisi and Taslim at that time, just talking about marketing stuff and Joyce, and we're just talking about marketing. I'm like, okay, why can't I then interview someone instead of us just picking a topic on marketing and talking about it together? And I'm like, okay, let's see how it goes. So I took it for a test drive, and look at where we are now with Founders Connect, and just how much of a thing has become, right? So like, explore opportunities, don't shy away from them, right? Don't be blind to opportunities. If you can, say yes. And as you start, it begins to make more sense. I didn't have a direction. I didn't even have a name until we were doing that first video, and there was no direction until after maybe the first 10 videos and then the first 20. And every time, every other day, what it could be, and the vision and the mission and the dream gets clearer and becomes much bigger, because now I have a track record and I know what works and what doesn't work and what it could potentially be. So like, there's a direction now because I gave it a chance, and there's Founders Connect show that has impacted so many people because I gave it a chance, because I didn't shy away from the opportunity. So yeah. Lesson number 4 is that consistency is half the work. there's no other way to say it, right? I think that some people get lucky and they just do one thing and they blow, and they shoot one video and it just goes viral, you know. From other people, you have to do the work. And you know what's amazing is that for people that go viral, if they don't continue doing the work, they lose the traction, right? If there's no content, they lose the traction. If there's no track record, they could also lose the traction. So like, yeah, there are lots of people who are one-hit wonders, and maybe because they just couldn't, you know, get a hit, but also maybe because they just didn't try, you know. So even when you get virality, you need to feed it, you need to leverage on that, and that just requires consistency. And for people who do not have the luck to go viral, what would work for you is consistency, is building a track record of just doing it over and over and over again until it finally clicks. And I believe so much that it would always click. So consistency have to work. Consistency is 50% of the marketing, right? Is like there's marketing that you do that's more aggressive, and there's pushing, and there's all of those stuff. But like, when you're consistent, it just makes your life easier. So if there's something that you're passionate about, there's a project that you want to work on, if there's an idea that you're pursuing, if there's anything that you want to do, just remember that consistency is half the work. It's half of what you need. The other half is in quality, the other half is in positioning, the other half is in the marketing, the other half is in luck, the other half is in everything. But half of it is just being able to not stop and not quit, even when you don't see the big goals and big sponsorships immediately. So 5 is just ask. Just ask. Shoot your shot. The worst that you get is a no. When I started Founders Connect, most of the people that I interviewed are people that I kind of had a relationships with. Like, okay, at least this person knows me, or I know this person will follow each other on Instagram or Twitter or something. There was something to build up on. But after the first 10, or probably even the first 7, every other person, most of them have just been me reaching out. Like, I don't care whether we've never spoken to each other, you've never heard my name before. If I find your story or your product interesting, or both, I would reach out. If I'm in your city and I think, well, it'd be cool to hear this person's story, I would reach out. And the beauty of it is I don't think I've ever really gotten a no for Founders. There are lots of other things that I've shot my shot for and I've gotten a no consistently. Like, if you read my second issue of my newsletter, We Stay Learning, I talked about rejection. So I get rejected like back to back. So I'm very resilient. And you should read that newsletter. I'll put the link. But for Founders Connect, I don't think that I've really gotten, I've gotten people who are like, oh, I can't make it. Like, I've gotten scheduling conflicts. Like, I can't make it. It's not the right time. Or I'm not in this city right now. I'm not in this country right now. Or maybe our product is not ready, or we're kind of working on like a new release and we think we'll be better then. But I've never gotten, oh, no, I don't want to do it. But I still get scared, but like, I know that the worst that will happen is a no. And maybe at some point I will shoot like much larger shots, like Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk kind of shot. I'm like, nah, no. But even at that, I'll keep going, because the worst that can happen is just a no. It's not the end of the world. I said this in that newsletter. I said that when you get a no, it doesn't change anything about your current situation. If I reach out to someone now that I want to interview them and I get a no, it doesn't change anything about my situation. It's just like, okay, I can't do that one, on to the next one. However, if I get a yes, that could be the content that blows up. That could be the work that changes my life. That could be the connection that I need to move to the next level. Yes can change your life. And so that slim 1% possibility of a yes is enough motivation to keep asking and to just keep shooting your shot and to keep trying. So ask. The worst you get is a no. 6, it gets easier with time. Just repetition and results. It gets easier with time. Notice how I say consistency have to work to success. It's just the same thing, right? The more consistent you are, that's the more you repeat it, the easier it gets. I used to have a list of questions that I wanted to ask for when I went to interview people. Now I don't have questions. I just have, now I know Founders Connect format like the back of my hand. So I don't usually have a list of questions. You just sit down and we just having conversations. And I know when someone is talking now, and when I recognize when there's something in what they just said that can lead to another question. I've just gotten better, and it has gotten easier, and I've gotten more comfortable doing it with time. I'm like, see, I want to have a TV show now because, I can do this. I can do this shit. And the only reason why I can say yes, I would be a great host is because of repetition. So like, it gets easier with time. The more you repeat, the better you get, the more consistent you are, the more results you also get. It gets better. Practice makes perfect. Practice builds mastery, and mastery leads to efficiency. That's another newsletter of mine you should read. 7, you're only as good as your team. Right, you're only as good as the people that you surround yourself with. I've been blessed with just having amazing supporters around me. From some people who just like, let me assist you doing videos, like Steven and T2 and Precious in London. To Joyce, who's just like, hey, I can help with all the logistics and scheduling when you're traveling around. To Tresh and Terrace, who just help with YouTube descriptions and tagging, and just having people who root for you is really great, right? Because there are times when I'm just non-existent and I'm just like, I'm so overwhelmed with every other work that I do that I don't have time for YouTube and watching the videos and looking at it and editing, and I just know that there are people there to help me. So you're only as good as the team and people who you surround yourself with. And it's not even just the team and people who work with you, it's also just people who, like your friends, your family, your lovers, your lover who are there to support you when it gets hard, who are there to say, hey, you can keep going, you're good, you're doing great. Just words of encouragement just matter. So as much as you can for any project or anything that you're doing, surround yourself with the right people, because you're only as good as people that you collaborate with. And when you collaborate and you partner, and you don't work like you're an island, you're not isolated by yourself, you have the propensity and the tendency to go further, faster, and to get better results. So surround yourself with great people, collaborate, partner, do more of those things that you can. And then my final lesson that I've learned so far with Shooting Founders Connect is everyone has a story. Even people that don't think that they have a story, they have a story. You just need to tell it, or sometimes you just need to ask them for it, and you just hear stories everywhere. We all come from somewhere, and that's a story, and we're currently in a place or at a current path in our life, and that's a story. And a lot of people, maybe not all, have dreams and have goals of what they want to build, and that itself is a story. The before, the now, and the after, that's a story. And nobody's story is better than the others. Everybody's story is unique, and there's a different perspective and a different lesson that you can get from everybody's story. Like even when people say something, talk about a subject, they talk about it differently. There's on Founders Connect Instagram now, there's this series on our Instagram and Twitter. On Instagram is at Founders Connect _ at Twitter is at DFC Show _. Now, if you follow us on Instagram, you see there's these videos that we do every week. It's called Founders On. There's like on time, Founders Connect On, and it's on specific topics. We've done Founders Connect on hiring, on focus, on marketing, on learning, on failure, and this videos is like 2 to 5 minutes videos of different founders who have been on Founders Connect show, just talking about specific topics. So, for instance, on focus, you hear maybe Tommy Watt's perspective on focus, you hear Nadaya's perspective on focus, you hear Bernard's perspective on focus, and you see it's the same topic, but what everybody says is different, and how they say it is different, but it's kind of the same lesson, because everybody's perspective and everybody's story is unique and is different. And as a person, that's what you want to leverage on, your own unique point of view, your own unique story, your own unique narrative, because even though it already exists, there's a reason why people would still listen to you and watch your content or listen to your content or read your articles, because that's your own perspective. I've seen, in that couple of months, I've seen similar variations of what Founders Connect is. I've seen more people, more content creators, more YouTubers interview tech founders and people who actually work in tech. And when I started Founders Connect, there wasn't anybody really doing that except, you know, the typical blogs, but they weren't even doing the way I was doing it. But now I'm like, oh, a couple of people are now interviewing, you know, tech founders, and I find that interesting. And when I say, I'm like, yeah, that's amazing. The more people that we have telling stories, the more stories of our ecosystem there is for the world to see, and that does really good to the ecosystem. And I'm happy about it, but I'm most confident because every YouTuber's perspective is different, and the questions that they will ask and their own format will be different, and so it takes nothing for what I'm doing, right? It just gives a unique perspective. One person can get interviewed by 5 different people and you still hear something slightly different, right, in those 5 different interviews, because everybody's platform, every perspective is different. So the way we have YouTubers who are reviewing phones, or travel YouTubers, or, you know, real estate people who will make videos of the same location or the same device, but it would all be different, and they'll all get their own different audience, because everybody has a story and everybody has a different perspective and everybody has a different narrative, and that's what really matters. And what you want to do is leverage your own, what makes you unique and what makes you special and what makes you different. And that's what I'm going to keep doing, to remain as authentic as I am, because what makes peace amazing and awesome and fantastic and a brilliant host of Founders Connect is my own story, is my own narrative, is my own story. I bring my own story and I bring my own authentic self, and that allows the founders or operators to speak to me to bring their own stories and their authentic selves, and that's what gives you the amazing videos that you watch all the time. So yeah, everyone has a story and a unique perspective, and that's what you want to leverage on. So those are lessons I've learned so far from Founders Connect. I reiterate, don't shy away from opportunities, don't be blind, learn to say no, but explore opportunities. You can't always depend on motivation or inspiration. You just have to keep doing it. Like, even when I'm tired, I'm like, I don't want to do Founders Connect again. Is it boring? Are people tired of watching these videos? I'm like, you know what, just keep going. And every time I use a new video, I'm like, yeah, this is why you keep going. The third one is consistency have to work. Just like, if nothing else works for you, just be consistent. Like, even if your stuff is trash, be consistent. But then if you add every other thing, all the other 50% of quality work, of a good network, of improvement, of marketing or position, if you add every other thing, then you just sweet stuff. And even when you go viral, consistency what helps you also leverage and traction. I also said that ask. The worst you get is a no. Shoot your shots. Like, every day I do Founders Connect, it's just mostly, now I get people who reach out to me, but oftentimes, at least last year was shooting your shot. This year, there's now a bit of mutual. I reach out to some people reach out to me. Last year, completely shoot your shot. It gets easier with time. Starting is the hardest part, but I promise you, it gets easier. Repetition, consistency builds mastery, mastery builds efficiency. The results will get better, the quality will get better, everything gets better and easier. You're only as good as your team and people you surround yourself with. So be deliberate about your team, be deliberate about people who are around you, be deliberate about creating your network and your inner circle of support. And last one is, everybody has a story. Leverage yours, leverage your unique perspective, and do great stuff. Do epic stuff. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.